don't understand why the atheist community seems to be intimidated by something that's been up for 60 years, and all of a sudden this year they seem to be making a lot of noise about it.
I don't understand why the atheist community seems to be intimidated by something that's been up for 60 years, and all of a sudden this year they seem to be making a lot of noise about it.
A lot of noise indeed. Hello, Bezel 333. Now perhaps it stems from the current popularity of such writers as Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens, but it seems to me that atheists these days are becoming more outspoken and more hostile towards religion in general and Christianity in particular. Case in point, the long-held tradition of local churches placing nativity displays along Palisades Park in Santa Monica, California. This year, the number of displays is a mere shadow of what they normally are. And why, you ask? Well, because a small group of belligerent and determined atheists flooded the city's lottery for the display positions and ended up getting most of them.
For decades, churches have put up nativity scenes in Santa Monica's Palisades Park, but this year the display is much smaller because atheists have taken over many of the spots.
And what did the atheists do with the spots that they took over? They put up predictably in-your-face posters promoting their ideas. This one places Jesus with Poseidon, Santa Claus, and some kind of devil figure. The next one, I guess, is a sweeping summary statement of the atheist worldview. Religions are all alike, founded on fables and mythologies. Now, what's interesting is that in the case of Jesus of Nazareth and St. Nicholas, there's overwhelming evidence to show that these individuals really did exist. But to the bombastic atheists of Santa Monica, that doesn't matter. They don't like the stories associated with Jesus, and therefore you shouldn't either.
Michelle, this is just one of 3 nativity scenes here at Santa Monica. For nearly 60 years, about a block and a half of the displays here at Palisades Park have been full of nativity scenes. But this year, that all changed. 11 people, a group of atheists, applied for the spots. And guess what? Through a lottery, they got most of them. And what you see right here in this brown display here is one of the displays that the atheists put up, basically denouncing religion. Their point of view is, when it comes to religious beliefs, they don't belong being displayed on a public park.
Okay, the atheist contends that religious beliefs should not be displayed in a public park. This is a particular point of view, and people have a right to believe that. But is not the belief in a historical figure named Jesus who was said to be born in a very humble estate also a particular point of view? This view is promoting an idea only and not forcing anyone to do anything. And every person who walks by can either embrace it or ignore it as they see fit. This view of Jesus being born does not attack nor speak out against any other view, but the atheist view now being displayed at the park is hostile and specifically targets and accuses the other view of being false, misleading, and even dangerous. Well, so much for atheists embracing freedom of speech and the open exchange of ideas.
Santa Monica churches have used most of the 21 spots set aside for holiday displays at Palisades Park. It's been that way for nearly 60 years. This year, it changed. Atheist groups applied for and received most of the spots through a lottery held by the city. That left 3 spots for the nativity scenes and a menorah display. The rest are signs displaying atheist beliefs. Damon Vicks, an atheist, helped put up these quotes challenging religious beliefs.
It's not supposed to be used to promote religion. It is explicitly promoting religion, and it has been, even though the city is not directly financially supporting it.
Now our friend here, Damon Vicks, says that a public park is not supposed to be used to promote religion. I just wonder if Damon is aware of the Oscar Strauss Memorial in Washington, D.C. Oscar Strauss was the first Jewish United States Secretary of Labor. In the center of the memorial is a fountain with the inscription Statesman, Author, and Diplomat, and on each side there are statues, one called Reason to symbolize capitalism, and the other called Justice to symbolize religious freedom. The inscription on the base of the statue called Justice, which sits on public land, are these words: "Our liberty of worship is not a concession nor a privilege, but an inherent right." Talk about promoting religion on public land. And yet even these words inscribed on that statue are only promoting an idea that one is free to engage in or not. The government is not forcing atheists to go to church or a mosque or a temple. The inscription on the statue simply is stating a fact that as Americans we have a right and are free to worship the God we as individuals happen to believe in. In Palisades Park in Santa Monica, people who have a right to believe in God are simply displaying in a visual way the particular God they believe in. All the city is doing is providing a space during a particular season of the year to allow the views of people who believe in a particular view of God to display the story. Muslims are free to use this space, and so are Jews. Those who practice Kwanzaa and even Satanists can also use this space if they want to in order to display their views. Anyone passing by can either stop and look or ignore the display and pass by. Everyone in America has the right to express their views, but along come the militant atheists who detest the idea of a creator God so much that they are compelled to put up displays that attack and attempt to undermine the expression of others they disagree with. Well, so much for tolerance as far as Mr. Damon Vicks and atheists like him go.
And that's the main issue here, is the separation of church and state.
The separation of church and state. Well, I'm sorry, Damon, but the phrase separation of church and state is not in the United States Constitution. The First Amendment does state that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And that's all that's happening here, the free exercise of religious views by citizens who happen to pay taxes so that Palisades Park can be maintained and enjoyed for everyone.
And there's a growing secular movement that wants to be vocal. We're happy about what we believe. We believe we have an equal say, and we're going to say it. And we're going to fight for our rights and show ourselves as who we are.
Now, you do have an equal say about what you believe, Damon. You have every right to display what your ideas are. Free speech allows you to call the person of Jesus a myth. I have no problem with that. My problem is that you somehow think you have the right to display your ideas, and others don't have the right to display theirs. The state is not promoting the worship of Jesus. A group of members of various churches are. Now, here's what I suspect. If these displays only depicted Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and elves working in a workshop making toys and Santa on a flying sleigh, the atheists couldn't care less and you wouldn't hear boo from them. But the minute you display an angel talking to a young virgin or an infant sleeping in the feed box of a donkey, the atheists want to cry foul and then begin to make a stink. And my question is, why? If the atheists are so convinced that Christianity is no more real than the idea of a pudgy, white-bearded fellow that flies around in the world on one night passing out gifts to good little children, then why on earth do they, pardon my French, give a rat's ass? Could it be that Christianity, for all its supernatural elements, is also firmly rooted in human history? I mean, the birth of Jesus didn't happen a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but in the days of Caesar Augustus. Jesus grew up not on the planet Tatooine, but on Earth in a real small town called Nazareth, which still exists today. Jesus traveled to Jerusalem, another real city, and there ran into trouble with other historical figures. One such person was the Jewish high priest Joseph Caiaphas. This is an artist's rendering of Jesus standing before Caiaphas, the high priest. And oh, by the way, his bones were found in 1990 in an ornately decorated limestone ossuary bearing his name not once, but twice. Jesus was also tried by the Roman prefect of the province of Judea, Pontius Pilate, and was subsequently executed shortly after. These facts are substantiated not only by the historical documents we find in the New Testament known as Gospels, but are also substantiated by non-biblical sources such as the writings of Josephus, Tacitus, Suetonius, and the letters from Pliny the Younger to the Emperor Trajan. Now, in short, atheists who don't believe in any God certainly shouldn't be bothered by Christianity if they're convinced it's not true. But they are concerned, aren't they? They certainly don't want their supposed autonomous lives disturbed by historical facts that a particular God does exist and in fact invaded real human history 2 millennia ago. Because if this is true, they are not in fact autonomous, but are rather accountable for their lives and are beholding to someone greater than themselves for their very existence. Oh, and a point of clarification. They put up a poster of a partial quote of President Kennedy, and I think it could use a little context. First, let me read the entire quote. "I believe in an America where the separation of church and state is absolute, where no Catholic prelate would tell the president, should he be Catholic, how to act, and no Protestant minister would tell his parishioners for whom to vote, where no church or church school is granted any public funds or political preference, and where no man is denied public office merely because his religion differs from the president who might appoint him or the people who might elect him." Now, I totally agree with that, Damon. The government should not dictate the doctrine or polity of any religion, and likewise, no religion should get involved in the running of the government. However, I doubt that President Kennedy, a professing Roman Catholic, would have had any trouble with nativity scenes in Palisades Park. Happy solstice? Celebrating the shortest day of the year? Is that the best you got? That's kind of sad. Keep in mind the Christians' claim. The baby we celebrate is the maker of the seasons, including the winter solstice, and that this baby grew up. He preached the kingdom of God. He performed miracles to authenticate his deity. He died on a Roman cross and rose again and is coming back a second time to judge the nations at the end of this present age.
The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel